straight into today's session. So we'll have Michelle and Rose do the review for us today. Over to you, Michelle.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this amazing
Good
session
evening.
on the psychology of money. This is the cocoa of the matter. This is the matter of the heart and the heart of the matter. Money, as is going to be our topic, is a very important topic that every one of us it motivates every one of us, for one reason or the other. Anyway, it shouldn't be one reason or the other, because money is at the heart of many, many things, if not everything that we do. And so it is important that we understand the dynamics that governs the acquisition, the multiplication, and the management of the money. You know, for so many years, I have personally, because my husband studied financial management, I just kind of love finance, but to me, because it was a mathematical, they used to present finances in a mathematical way, and I'm very, very afraid. I used to be very afraid, let me put it like that, because from the perspective books and some books that I've read also, it is very important to change your mindset from what you perceive to be your fears, you know and so, because of that mathematical aspect of the finances, I used to see finances as something that you need to be very good with mathematics, with numbers, to really excel at it. And because I am not somebody that is naturally very good with numbers, maybe I should say it like this, because I didn't used to be very good with numbers. Immediately you start mathematics in school, well, you have lost me for the largest part of the class. I wouldn't, not because I wasn't interested, but I was kind of, maybe this thing is does not just want to enter my head, you know. And that was how I had that kind of day your lane, let me day my lane kind of relationship with finances. But that does not mean that I didn't love money. I used to tell my husband that it is not mathematics that is going to help me in this money matter. It's just that, okay, if you tell me this is so amount of money, this, what do you want to do with it? I will know my way. But those calculations used to be something that I was afraid about. And now, when I got, because I have a physical copy of the book, when I first bought the book, I started it uh, sometime in December, but kind of, I was just lazy around it. But when Ariola posted it that that's going to be our book of the month, I say, okay, this is, let's say, is a divine stuff. I'm going to really go through and sincerely sit down on it. And to my greatest joy and discovery, when I discovered that doing well with money or even attracting the money has very little to do with calculation, I was really, really, really settled. I say, wow, this is what I've been looking to really settle, because sometimes I worked for before my job that I picked. I was volunteering in an NGO, and we used to go to some training. So I attended a training, and I met a lady that's called Financial Jennifer. She has a community of women. She trained women on personal finance, investment, and everything. I joined her community, but I was just there looking like an owl. So when I started reading the book, so many things that the lady speaks about when it comes to financing, when it comes to investing, when it comes to saving, oh my God, it's mind blowing. So, right now, let me just take, I'm going to take the first 10 chapters because the review, as you all know, I'm taking it together with Rose. And the first 10 chapters that I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to talk about the reason, okay, nobody is crazy. That's the first chapter. The role of luck and risk, that will be for the second chapter. Never enough. Third chapter, the power of confounding, compounding, getting wealthy and staying wealthy. That will be for the chapter 5. 6, tails, you win, freedom, man in the car paradox. Then on chapter 9, you have wealth is what you don't see. And the 10th chapter, which is what I really, really, really love because I started something with my children just with this, is about saving money, right? So, all of us, we want to be financially independent. We want to be financially free. We want to build wealth. We want to, accumulate. We want to be rich. What's the difference among all those? Which one should we go for? Should we go for the riches? Should we build wealth? What should we actually pursue? What does it mean in its essence? Because the first way that the Morgan Housel present his book is about the perspective, and that's where the place of the previous book that we review, it makes a whole lot of sense. Some people see wealth as having a lot of money. You
Oh, so
understand?
sorry, so
Which is
sorry, Abby, Michelle, so sorry. I forgot to mention,
no,
since we already used 30 minutes before we started, you speak for 30 minutes and Rose will speak for 30 minutes. Is that okay?
that's fine.
So as you're
That's
speaking, you're
okay.
also factoring the time error. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Okay, so um where was I? Well, okay, I was talking about the perspective, the perception of wealth, of the wealth and being wealthy. So as a way of introduction, the author talks about how success, how will I put it? Uh, how the experiences of each and every one affects our perception of wealth, right? Sometimes you might see somebody that lives a lavish life, or someone that is very conservative in his way of in his relationship with finances. All of those things are due to the experiences that each and every one of us have had. We come from different generations. There are people that were some, our parents, for example, will be telling us that when they, in their own time, there are some things that they enjoy that this generation didn't really know, that we didn't know, that our children. So we come from different generations, we come from different parents. You are very much aware that the financial status of your parent will determine a whole lot about your way, about your perception of money, because of the experiences that you will have the opportunity to have, the exposure, the places that you have the opportunity to visit. And it is also determined by our values. In this part of the world, our experiences here are different from the experiences of the people that are abroad. That's the reason why many of us here, because we believe we have kind of a scarcity mentality. We always see like, okay, if I go to the UK, if I travel to the US, if I go to Canada, there I will be better, because we come from what our experiences have been so far since we were born. And with the globalization and the way that the internet has made everything open, we now see that, okay, overseas we think it is better because of maybe the infrastructure, the way they have structured their own lives. So the economies are different, the job markets are different, incentives are different, and to the and a lot also is about the lessons that we learn, you know, and a lot of these things happen in the home. It happened in the home because there are some things, if you grow up in a family that is struggling with finances, your perception, for example, if you cannot afford, like, let's say 3 square meal, if you need something, your parent will always tell you, okay, this you cannot afford this you can. There's going to be a limit to what you will perceive, you can do, or a limit to where you can go. And it will need you to really, it will take an extra effort for you to break those limiting thoughts, for you to break through to the other side. You understand? And all these experiences, all this generation, all these things that all of us experience over the time, over the years, it it brings about what? It triggers emotions. You know, many people do not understand how finances work. And so we are kind of, okay, we are afraid. We become uncertain about the future. You don't know what may come. Okay, how do I invest? For example, how do I make this money? How the way that we will begin to perceive the risk. You say, okay, if you are living in an economy anyway, like here in Africa, for example, it is not so common for just anybody to be talking about investing, to be talking about buying shares, buying stock. Like I myself, it is just because of small exposure that I got to know that, okay, I can, as a person, begin to invest right now. And the knowledge that I got to know later in life, that's what I am now giving I now deliberately, intentionally want to impart that knowledge to my children so that they take advantage over the years that me I have lost. For here in Africa, it's not everybody. Like where I where I live, for example, I cannot discuss stock investment. I cannot discuss commercial paper. Many of us will not know what is that. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You will be speaking something, people will just like, okay, what are you? Because in this environment, we still live in a survival in a survival mindset, kind of. You understand? Because people are not yet satisfied. People live from hand to mouth on a daily basis. You will not come and be telling them, okay, you have to save like this, you have to do like this with your finances. It does not sit well with them because their experiences do not allow them to accommodate this kind of knowledge. And so, what for you is, is the right thing to do for the other person because of their experiences. They just look at it like, okay, it's fine for you, but for me, it's something that I cannot venture into that, and it is absolutely okay because your experiences are basically different, and so you now see that chances for people that are more exposed, that are more educated, that come from family that have more that have premium information about finances, they are more predisposed to have a better understanding of how they can make better decisions about their finances, and so set them up for success. Okay, because of time, I'm really going to rush. That's the on chapter 2. This is a chapter that I, without wanting to really be religious about it, you just really need to understand that no matter how hard you work, no matter what you are doing, there is always a force that is beyond your own understanding that is going to play at the back of your personal efforts. Okay, there are times that you can do your best, as they will say, you can do your best and yet still not get the result, and things will still not go as you wish they should. But here, sincerely speaking, when I read this chapter, I understood, as particularly I am a believer, right? I understood the place of what we in the Christendom we call the grace of God, right? There are things that you will not just understand. For example, in this chapter, he shares the story of how Bill Gates became what he became. And this, as Bill Gates had the grace, let me put it like that, of becoming the one of the most richest, wealthiest person in the history of the world, this his tight friend with whom they started the envisioning the business of Microsoft. The man had died, right? One in a million kind of accident. It's not something that he planned. It's not something that he expected. But the same way that it worked well for Bill Gates, it didn't work well for him. And that's just the role of these forces. And there are two forces. It's just like, okay, you cannot say you believe in if you believe in the grace of God, it means that there are opposite forces that are working that can actually make you not to attain the results that you are trying to attain. You understand? And so it is important, as we are all in the quest, or in the we all long to lay our hand on this world. We should somehow assume a God, right? I don't want to say majorly, okay, Jesus Christ, I don't know, assume a God. Know that you need a supernatural ally to help you break through into the realm of the rich. Now, another chapter is chapter 3, and I love this one as well. It's kind of okay, never enough. And this speaks about greed, and mainly on greed, insatisfaction, and the reason why all the problem in the world exist, because people are so much insecure. They are not satisfied with what they got. They always want more, to the point that they damage what is much more important to them, to have material wealth that they already have enough. For example, because we live in Africa, I would just use the African context to speak about this point very well. When you look at our political scene in Africa, I'm not a Nigerian, okay? I'm not a Nigerian, but I'm not an Oyibo person too. So I'm from Cameroon. The same problem that we experience in Cameroon, in terms of corruption, in terms of bad governance, in terms of greed, in terms of embezzlement of public fund, it is the exact same thing that happens here in Nigeria. And why is this so? It is simply because these people have not understood the law of enough. They don't know where to stop, when to stop. Say, okay, I have gotten this. And because they are so insecure, because they are so unsatisfied, they keep pushing the limits to to crazy ends. And it end up damaging what is most important to them. Like what? Like, for example, in the social media space now, I've really don't not dug inside the story, what is happening. The Senator Natasha, that is complaining of a sexual harassment. Just listen to the kind of things that these people that are at this level, they will be talking about in a public space. They don't even mind their integrity. They don't have a sense of value. They don't have a sense of, you know, you know. But it is the root of it is what is greed. You know, if they understood what contentment is, if they understood that they don't necessarily need to have all the money inside the country for themselves to feel happy, half of our problem will be solved. And so the next chapter speaks about the power of compound, okay? Founding compound. And this is where the richest man in the world, Warren Buffett, comes into play. What Warren Buffett was just, what happened to him is just that the guy, he has worked on consistency. He has invested his money over time, and he has given it enough time to multiply itself. You know how compound interest works, right? For example, if you invest $1,000, let's say for 1 month, right? At the end of, okay, let's work on the basis of months. That's going to need a calculation though. You invest $1,000, right? And then at the end of 1 month, you earn $100 as interest. Now, the second month, you are going to invest 1,001, right? At the end of it, you have the interest over 1,001, which is going to be 1,110, right? Something like that over the year. But it's going to keep on adding. And this is the secret to building wealth, is actually to start. You have to have the discipline to start. Once you start investing, you keep investing, and then you don't save to spend, and you give your money enough time, you will have um oof, I'm really running out of time, so I'm going to rush here even faster. So by the time you keep on investing and uh, you give it a lot of time, you will not need to stress so much to build your wealth, because it will just be multiplying. And over time, over a year, 1, 2, or 20, a decade, 2, you will see that what started out as a small investment has turned out to become a big, 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 big um, uh, back of money. Let's put it like that. So uh, all of us, we are advised to start our savings so that we start investing as well, right? Because good investing is not necessarily about earning the highest return. No. It is the it is the smallest return that you earn over time that really makes the whole difference. So for chapter 5, it speaks about getting wealthy and staying wealthy, right? And this chapter focuses so much about values. You know, as I said in the introduction, it is very important to set our value straight before we go into wealth building, because opportunities are going to present themselves onto us, good and bad opportunity. And if you do not have your value well set, you will have challenges when some wrong opportunity will present themselves. You will find out that you are sacrificing what is much more important, because you want to be rich, or you want to be rich, not knowing that sacrificing those things you will not be able to stay wealthy, because it is the things that are not seen that keeps you wealthy. That is your value systems. And here he speaks about the story of two persons that one two person that they had a very terrible story. One person, when the stock market in America collapsed that year, he made the biggest. the biggest win of his life. But the guy just lost it completely. He thought because he had made it big, he could just become loose. And so he went loose. He was just doing anyhow. At the end of the day, he still lost everything. This other person that lost everything on the same day, he recovered later on and came up to become wealthy again. So the things that makes you should have such value and system that once you are able to achieve wealth, even if you should lose the wealth, you should be able to repeat the same system that you used before to get wealthy. Okay, for the chapter 6, it is about okay, there's so many failures that we have to experience become wealthy, but the failures that we encounter in our journey to success are actually not uh failures. Someone said we are just paying the tuition to learn how it wouldn't work. So you have to you there are so many failures that you have to encounter, right, before you eventually make it big, right? Each failure is just like once it just takes you one step closer to what you are about to to win. Now, chapter 7, about freedom, right? When you're rich, you have control of your time, you have control of uh you are free. You can do whatsoever, right? But okay, the freedom does not just come because you want the freedom. You have to sacrifice something, because nothing comes free, right? There's something that you have there's a price that you have to pay. Just like Rockefeller used to say. He said that his job is to think. He needed the time to think and make good decision. When they talk about freedom, the freedom that money brings onto you is that it gives you the time to talk. When you are in the bustle and hustle of life every day, you never have a minute to rest. You are just running from one task to another. When you move from one thing, you jump to another. There's not a time that you stay. You pause and think, and that thinking moment that you is that thinking moment that you need to actually think things through and take the best decision that you have to make, right? And so that is one of the highest dividend that uh, money gives us as as is the highest dividend that money pays us. Now, chapter 9 speaks about wealth is what we don't see. And that talks about what? The values, what is much more important. Wealth is the financial assets that you have not spent, right? As I said earlier, you don't become wealthy to spend. No, you don't become wealthy to stay to spend, right? I am actually rushing here because I it's dark where I am. We do not have light. So I'll quickly jump into the chapter 10. Chapter 10 is about saving money. It is very, very important. This chapter speaks about the importance of saving money. You know, we have so many reasons why we do not save, or we do not want to save. I would say we have many excuses. Past a certain level of income, many people don't want to save. They think they cannot save. when you are not earning a very high salary, you are thinking, okay, maybe when I get to a certain level, I will begin to save. Or when you are earning a good salary, you don't think you will need to save. Just like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine that is in Ivory Coast. He was telling me how much he earns, but he doesn't have any saving. He's complaining that he's unable to make the ends meet. This chapter put the emphasis on saving. And when I first read this chapter, I was very happy. Why? Because there's something that I started with my children. Uh, let's say I don't even remember when I started it, but it was sometime last year. They have their food they go to school with, and then they still have their father still give them snack money. I told them, okay, this is what you are going to do. In your snack money, please, everybody should do his colo. I asked my eldest son to do the carton for I have 4 children. Each and every one of them saves a portion of their income daily. I started that like a play, but every day when I come back from work, mommy, I save. Mommy, I save. How was your week? They say, this week I saved all through. I was like, oh, this thing is really working. And do you know something? I used to borrow my son's money. And so, so sorry. I'll soon wrap up. I'll soon,
Nancy, please mute your mic. Nancy,
maybe you can mute her.
I'm not seeing it. It's not
Just
showing here.
click on,
Let me mute all. Okay. Michelle, now unmute yourself.
okay. Oh, she left. Okay, so saving is actually the starting point to the journey of wealth creation. I'm telling you, I am so inspired by what I see my children doing. My eldest son will tell me that he saved 400. I say, out of how much? He say, no, mom, no, mommy, I did not spend my money. And when I read the book, I now realized that because inside their mind they were thinking, okay, when they save this money, at some point they are going to use it and buy something. I say, that's not what we are going to do. What by the end of the year, when you open your bank, your piggy bank, and I see how much is, I will open an account and put that money there. You continue your saving and we will be investing the money inside. By the time that you are 20, you are, let's say all of them are 20, and they have had this habit of saving, and it's already in them. You understand? But many of us, we find it difficult because at the end of the month, saving is not the first thing that we think of. We would think of bills, we would think of filling the house, we would think of it is when we have spent everything that we are thinking of saving what is left. No, it should be the other way around. We should save first before we actually think of spending any bit of our money, right? There is so much to say about this thing, really. There's so much to talk about the savings, but I can't really see. So, and it is very important to build this saving habit because it trains not only our mind, but even our body. Because when you are able to save, it means that you are already training your taste. You are already training your me. Like me, I think I have a problem with money. When I have money, I cannot see somebody that needs help, and I will not spend that money. If I have money and then you are just telling me, please, I need this. Oh, I don't spend the money, finish. But it's not a good habit because it is generosity without wisdom. I am not building any wealth. Over time, that will not help me. I will not be able to help the person. And I myself, I will not be able to help myself. Do you understand? It is a good habit to build, to save, right? Once you save to a considerable amount, you begin to invest and take advantage of the compounding. Well, many of us are way above 30, right? We are not going to have as much time as Warren Buffett has got to build his wealth. But I believe that that's going to be a good start for us. And with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share alongside each and every one of us. So, thank you very much. Rose will take us further in this review. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Michelle. You did a fantastic job. Like I learned a lot listening to you. And
Thank
sometimes you think when you read a book, you understand everything the person is saying, but you hear someone do a review and the person will take it from an angle you didn't even see it coming. So I'm seeing so many things in different lights as you were sharing it. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm really grateful for even
thank you.
volunteering to do this for us. I didn't have to be calling a who is going to do. You guys are just so gracious to do this. All right, Abigail's hand is up.
Yes, good evening again. Thank you so much, Michelle. I wanted to just chip in that, yes, saving before spending is what we should do. But we would only be able to do that when we have formed the habit of budgeting. Because if you don't budget, you won't even know what your likely expenses would be and what would be reasonable to save. I know there are some savings that once you put it in, you can't get it back till a specified period of time. So we should also incorporate budgeting. Thank you.
Definitely,
Yeah,
budgeting is also one
thank
of
you.
the points that were raised in the book. Yeah, if there is time, maybe we'll touch on it too. Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much for that, Abigail. Really important. Yeah.
thank you.
All right, Rose, over to you. You have the mic now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. At this juncture, I would just like to say that Michelle has done a wonderful job and we can call it a day. Because, as far as I'm concerned, she has covered most of the things. From 11 to 20 is more like an emphasis on what has been talked about in 1 to 10, although new things were being said, she really did well. Thank you, Michelle, for the job well done. Sorry, just a minute, please. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so for my own part of the review, I would just like to share some key takeaways before I would before I'll quickly do them chapter by chapter. I hope I'm able to meet up with my 30 minutes, but let me just quickly share my key takeaways from the whole book itself. First of all, first key takeaway is that your attitude towards money matters more than how smart you are. Like your behavior counts more. It's not even the intelligence or how very brilliant you are with money, but your attitude towards it matters. Two is remember that there will always be people with more money, so avoid risking what you need for unnecessary wants. There will always be people that have more money than you. There's no how you want to attain your wealth. You will still see someone that is greater in wealth more than you. So always avoid risking what you need for unnecessary things just to meet up with the societal standard. Third will be recognize that everyone is different and it is better to develop your own investment approach instead of blindly imitating others. More like a repetition of what I said in two. Recognize that you are different from every other person and everybody has their own risk taking approach. So your own risk taking approach is not the same with others, and don't compare yourselves with them. Just develop your own investment strategy or approach rather than imitating people. The fourth one will be that spending more to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. And I know that in this climb, we are very good at that. When we have money, when we have hit the jackpot, we just want to show off. Everybody must see social media. I must snap picture, I must put this, I must put that online, and people should know, but it's the fastest way to have less money actually. The last one is it last or second to the last? There's something that talked about having enough. Yes. So this book actually also reminds me that success with money isn't just about IQ or expert tricks. It is more about patience, humility, self-awareness, and resilience. By recognizing human biases, defining what enough is for ourselves, we can make healthier decisions about our finances and about our well-being. So I really love this Psychology of Money book. It's short. When Henry brought it to me and said, Rose, can you help with the review of this book? I looked at it. I'm like, oh, Psychology of Money is money to me. That I'm not even good at with money issues. I'm the worst. Like I don't even know. But I said, okay, let me just take a dive into this book and see how it is. But the mind-blowing part of this book for me is when Morgan Housel really talked about these virtues. When people are talking about money, I always feel like, okay, what I will see there is that invest in stock, invest in bonds, invest in treasury bills, do this, do that, save, do 1%, then you get 100%, that kind of a thing. But here it talked more about virtues, some behaviors that if you don't have it, there's no how that you can actually have money. There's no how that you can say you are wealthy, like you are wealthy. And virtues like patience, humility, self-awareness, resilience, these things you can't buy in the markets. These things money cannot even buy. So if money cannot buy it, I don't know how you want to even have money to buy them. So it's a very wonderful virtue that we need to have. And then he also talked about defining what is enough. I like that part where he talked about contentment, because I always think that most of all these books, they talk about get rich quickly, 101 ways to make money. But this one is saying you have to be contented with what you have. You have to. Do not compare yourself with people. Be content, be okay with what you have, and then just be consistent. That resilience is where that virtue comes in. Be consistent with the approach that you want to have in building your wealth, and then you see how wealth will just come your way, easy peasy, And then I remember the example of the janitor that was talked about. That janitor that was just a janitor, just a cleaner, and nobody would have actually have imagined that after this guy had died, he would have like $8 million in his coffers. Wow. Just a mere janitor. It's just like you seeing all this lawma people on the road that used to clean the road, and one of them just passes on, and they now said the asset that this person has is 1 billion naira. We all will be shocked, because you just be wondering, how did this person get this money? Ishe Wolonshe, what salary is he earning? It's not just by the roadside. How much does Loma people earn? What's their average income? But that's exactly, I've forgotten the guy's name, but that's exactly the story of this guy, how he was able to get saved up to $8 million for himself after he had even passed on. And I think that money was for philanthropy. It's just wonderful and mind-blowing.
I think he passed some to his children, his stepchildren, and maybe some to charity or something.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Or something.
Yes.
And to his local library.
Yes.
And to his local library. And
very
true.
Too. Very true. Yeah. So the hospital, I remember that. So it was basically for even if it's for his children, it's not for himself. He just left it for people to take, and that's very a very beautiful virtue to have. So okay, so I'll just quickly run through from chapter 11 to Mitchell, please, can you mute? I'll quickly run through from chapter 11 to 20 in I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or something. Okay, so chapter 11 says reasonable. or rational. And when we say rational, it means you're sensible. You're sensible at the decisions you're making. So also argues that people don't always make rational financial decisions, and that's actually okay. But instead of striving for pure logic, he suggests making reasonable decisions that align with one's emotion and risk tolerance. So it's about that self-awareness thing I'm talking about again. Knowing yourself. How much can you take? If they say all your money, if they say you want, can you invest all your money in a particular, can you risk all your money in a particular investment? And if you lose that investment, I hope you will not die, or hope you will not pass out. So how much can you actually take is what also is talking about here. People make financial choices based on personal experiences. You please, can you excuse me? Sorry, please. My bicycle. Oh yeah, go and take it. Go and tell Auntie Mary to bring it for you. Okay, close the door for me.
Please give him his bicycle, mommy.
No, he forgot his bicycle outside, so he just saw it along the by the window. Okay, so sorry. So people make financial choices based on personal experiences, biases, and emotions rather than strict rationality. So it's very important that whenever we are making financial choices, we should be rational in our thinking. We should not be carried away with our emotions. We should not be carried away with how we feel, but we should be sensible, using your head at that point in making decisions about finances. It is better to make a good enough decision than that keeps you invested rather than chasing perfection. You can never attain it all. So it's just sensible that whatever decision you are making is just good enough for you at that time. And it boils down to you not comparing yourself with other people or whatever decisions that other people have made. You are just making that good enough decision that you know is sensible for you, and it's okay. you know a very good example is holding cash instead of investing everything might not be rational from a returns perspective, but it can be reasonable if it helps you to sleep at night. you know if you are investing everything, that's the example I just gave now. If you're investing everything and you're not able to sleep at night, why do you just want to go into that rather than just having some cash that you would have? If you're investing everything and you're having sleepless nights every day, it is not rational. It is not rational. And that's what Housel is saying here, that look at yourself, be self-aware, know about yourself, know what you can do, know your risk intake, know your risk stretch, and know how you can handle it. Chapter 12 talks about the title is the subtitle is surprise. Surprise because there are many financial events that can happen, and we can have financial booms, financial crises or economic crashes, and so many unexpected events. And he's warning against assuming that the future will be like the past. We are always very afraid. We're always very afraid, especially when we've had past experiences. We're so afraid of it, and then sometimes we're a bit drawn aback with doing anything in the future because of how we have had maybe bad past experience and everything. And the truth is, you cannot even control what will happen in the future. The biggest risk and rewards in finance comes from events no one saw coming. Nobody saw 2020 COVID thing happening at all, and it caused a lot of issues that period. So sorry again. So sorry. I need to. I'm sorry. Okay, so chapter 12. Chapter 12 we said chapter 12 is about crashes, economic booms, economic crashes, even economic recoveries. It's because it's not really about the pessimistic aspect of it alone. There are also positive sides of it, But I remember in the 2020, when we had that COVID experience, a lot of businesses went down the drain. There were a lot of crashes. People never saw it coming, and because of that experience, people are still afraid of making some financial decisions about their lives. They're just afraid that what if another COVID happens? What if this happens? So he's saying here that the fear should not be there. Take your decision, and your decision should be rational. Your decision should be very sensible. Invest the way you can, have your own investment approach, and then go for it. Either ways, you can still what I also like to say again in that 2020 period is that even when we had investments and businesses that crashed, we had a lot of people that had new businesses that came up, and it bloomed. A lot of people they cashed out that year, a lot of it. So it can be this for some people, it can be that for some people. The question you should ask yourself is, what approach am I going to take? I'm not going to compare myself with anyone, but how am I going to go for it? So it's just that self-awareness. So reading this book just makes me to know that I need to really know the kind of person I am, and I need to know how to work around my finance my own way. That self-discipline should be there. That self-awareness should be there in investing my funds in anything I want to invest my funds in. Chapter 13, is there's always room for error. And, there's always room for error. You can't be perfect. There will always be mistakes here and there. People will always have, even the Bill Gates that I talked about had a lot of financial errors I committed. He lost some money, but it's still over time, the return started coming, So always have a financial buffer, extra savings, diversified investments, conservative estimate. Always have a financial buffer is very important. Financial buffer is when you have something that you can fall back on in case my own money, just this old money that I've invested ends up going down the drain. Maybe one economic policy just kills everything. Have a financial buffer. It's very important. But in this climate that we're in, we are in that sense of, especially Nigerians, we are in that sense of we're in that survival technique, survival lifestyle where whatever you have, just spend. You don't know what tomorrow will be. See the way Tinubu is treating us now. We don't know how.
Don't worry about my future.
Don't worry about my future. That kind of thing.
Enjoyment.
Just spend. Chop life. There's one skit I was watching about Lai Wisabi, and there was one. I think he did one advert with Basket Mouth on one chin advert like that, maybe Golden Penny or something, and the slogan was "Chop life because life is just once and for all," something like that, So we have that mentality, but we should always remember that a financial buffer will always come in handy anytime, any day. So the next chapter 14, is that the subtitle is "You Will Change." People's financial goals and priorities evolve. What seems important today may not matter in a decade, and that's the truth. Our financial goals change. Like with the financial goals I had when I was single, I can't compare it to what I have now when I'm married. When I and my husband are sitting down to do our finances for the year, it's totally different from all the time I was single and I was putting on my goals. They're different. We evolve, we change. So we should be flexible in having our financial goals. Be flexible and leave room for changes in your values and your desires. Be flexible. You can't just be static to say this is how it's going to be. I can give a very good example. In my home, when it's time when my husband wants to give me money for food, like home affairs, that's how we call it, home affairs, the money. So what it does is it will tell me he's a finance person. So, and it's very, very, how do I put it? I don't even know how to describe him, but it will say, please, can you write down all the things you want to buy and put all the prices, and then I'll send the money to you. And he will vet it too. It's not like just put all the price and he will vet it and he will send the money. He will vet it first and then he will now send the money. But I now notice that with the way that prices of things are escalating, rice is now 100,000 for a bag. Before it was 60, it was 40. I can't write. I don't even know the amount of a certain commodity right now. So we had to be flexible. I just told him, I think it would be advisable that you give me a certain amount of money for the month. I cannot be writing. I am not a marketer. I can't be writing prices of things and then you are you now vet. When you now finish vetting, you now say this is the amount I can give you. I said no. So we had to be flexible, and he agreed. And since then, it's been very wonderful. So just give me a certain amount of money, even if sometimes I spend more than that amount, I'm okay. I can just, as much as possible, probably reduce whatever I want to get, reduce quantity, reduce whatever, and then be able to make use of that fund. You know, so that's the aspect of flexibility that I wanted to talk about. So chapter 15 talks about nothing is free. Every financial decision has a cost, whether visible or hidden. Markets volatility is the price of high returns, not a mistake. So every financial decision you make, whether you are so afraid that if I make this decision, I will lose everything, it has the costs, and the cost is either positive or negative. So you just have to take it anyway. You have to take it anyway, you know. So investing isn't free money. It comes with stress, uncertainty, and downturns. And that's the truth. When you are investing, it is not free. When you put your money there, you are thinking of, what exactly would happen? Uncertainty. What if this bank shuts down, or this bank wants to be acquired by another bank? Will I get my money back? Kind of a thing, you know. So instead of fearing downturns, accept them as the fee for long-term gains. There will actually be long-term gains. So instead of seeing them as downturns, the uncertainty, the fear, accept them as long-term gains. Yes, you will lose a lot, but maybe in the long run, like let's say, for example, you're setting up a new business now. You will lose so many things, but if consistency is put in play, you are consistent with your business, you are managing the way you're supposed to manage. Yes, the economy is not smiling on new upcoming businesses right now, but you are still hanging in there. In the long run, you would definitely see the results. You know. So chapter 16 talks about you and me, and that's basically about not comparing yourself with people. Everyone has different experiences that shape how they view money. There is no universal right way to handle finances. There's no universal way. There's no standard to handle finances. Everyone has their different experiences that shape their money. Someone that grew up during a recession might be more conservative with money than someone who only experienced economic growth. They are totally different set of people. You know, some people were born in the time where there's economic bloom and there's economic growth. They will not know what conservative or conservatism means. They won't really have an idea of what that means. But those that grew up during recession and all those times, I can give an example about like our own parents. Like, okay, I'm very sure that most of us are probably in the same age range, if I'm not mistaken. And we have parents. Some of our parents are very conservative in their spending. If some of our parents hit the jackpot, like they hit like 1 billion naira, you won't see them going to buy Porsche car or going to buy a Bugatti. You won't see that. Instead, they probably want to save their money, or they want to build a house, a very conservative house, not even a flashy house. But people like us, when we hit jackpot like this, what's the next thing? Santorini, go to vacation, to go and, you know, that kind of a thing. You want to enjoy life and everything, you know. So everyone has their ways of, and their different experiences that shape the way they view money. So we should understand that part. And I think this part is also helping me with how I am relating finances, when I'm talking about finances with my husband, he has his own way of viewing money. I have my own way of viewing money. So I'm able to understand the path he is coming from to be able to match up with mine. If it means that I have to mellow down with my own view of money for us to come into a joint decision about one decision we want to make, I will have to do that. And it's also vice versa. He would also have to do that at some point. So it's just knowing that we are shaped in different ways on how we view money. Chapter 17. I hope I've not gone overboard. Chapter 17. I'll soon be done. It talks about the seduction of pessimism. This one, Nigerians are very good at it. It is when, how do I even put it now? It is when when things are going to crash. They're saying, there'll be economic crash. There'll be, so do this. That's when you now see Nigerians took all their money. This is. But when they say, there'll be economic bloom in 2027, there will be economic growth, the policies will be good. That's when you won't see any invest. Most people might not even invest. But in the time when they will say, there'll be one economic clash, stock market will be zero, this, that. That's when you now see people, they react more to pessimism than optimism. It says negativity sells because bad news sounds very urgent and it demands attention. People are wired to take pessimistic financial predictions more seriously than optimistic ones. That's basically the summary of chapter 17. So despite frequent economic crises, the market generally grows over time. And that's how it is. You see people invest more because they're afraid. They don't know how it's going to turn out because of the pessimism and the bad news that is coming from it. They just want to do everything so that they don't lose out on anything. But there are also optimistic economies, and that's where you see people relax and they relapse, So in chapter 18, it says, when you believe anything, that's the title. It says, people fall for bad financial advice and scams when they lack experience or don't understand why things work. And this one is this is a case study for Nigerians as well, in Nigeria as well. We fall for bad financial advice. We fall for scams a lot. We don't even look for the why. Why is this company asking me to invest in them? We don't do our background check at all. We just want to throw our money, especially because we have seen that individual A has gotten 100% returns, but you don't know what that person, you just be sure that person was just lucky at that time. It might just be the time you will now invest that everything crashes. But if we had done our background check and our due diligence, would have been able to know whether this is a sensible way of investing or not. So the less people, financial literacy helps people distinguish between sustainable wealth building and illusions of success, and that's why you see a lot of Yahoo boys now. They're just everywhere because it's the get money quick syndrome, get quick, whatever they call it. They just want to quickly get money. They don't see anything. They don't want to follow through that persevering way, to that patient way of getting wealth, of building wealth. Wealth is meant to be built. It's not magic. It's not something that you just see grown like that. It's built. And if you are building a house, you know how long it will take to build something. So many people fall for Ponzi schemes because they trust the illusions of consistent high returns without questioning the source. We don't question sources. Like, I remember the time where we had this MMM thing. People invested a lot of money, and that doesn't mean that people didn't make money. People made money. People made double, triple the amount they put in that MMM. They were lucky. But that doesn't mean that it is right, But some people they didn't question the source. They just put their money, and it was at that time they put their money that they lost a lot of things. They lost all their money, as in some people almost killed themselves just because they had lost all their money in MMM, So that's for chapter 18. Chapter 19 says, altogether, success in finance is not about mastering one strategy, but combining many small habits. Combining many small habits. It's just you knowing that, okay, I have a salary that I earn every end of the month. I don't have to spend all my money. Okay, like for example, what I do is I have this piggy vest account that every day they deduct 1,000 naira from my account, from my own normal salary account. They deduct 1,000 naira and I lock it. So I don't get tempted to want to spend it. At the end of the year, I should be expecting to see 365,000 naira that year without plus interest, without even doing so much, So these are the little habits. It doesn't have to be I have stock in Dangote or I have a stock in MacBook company or something. No, it doesn't really have to be that. Or I have shares in Amazon. No, it's just the little things. It's the little things. Savings, like Michelle talked about how she's teaching her children how to save. That is a beautiful thing. You are getting them. You're getting them piggy banks and you're teaching them how to save, and it might just not be for anything. Like also talked about not even saving for anything. There's nothing that you're saving for. Like you can't pinpoint to say I'm saving for my child's education, but you are just saving anyway. It's very important. That was what the janitor did. We're just saving, and all of a sudden he had a lot of money afterwards. Then finally, the chapter 20 talks about confessions. Also shares his personal financial philosophy, emphasizing on simplicity and independence over excessive wealth. I just like the fact that this writer is not all about you need to be too rich. You can be like Warren Buffett. You can be like Bill Gates. No, he didn't say that. It was just more about you just being okay where you are, but you're financially powerful. You're okay where you are, but you're financially powerful. It's not like you have $20 billion in your coffers, but you're just financially powerful. And what does that mean? It means that you can actually afford your daily meal. You can actually pay your rent. You can actually even feed another household. And that's okay. So contentment is very key here. Lack of greed, taking away, just telling God to help us to take away that greed in us, because social media has come to a point where when you look at, sometimes I'll just open my social, I'll go open to open a what's it called, Instagram. Okay, sorry, I open Instagram and I'll just see people. I'll just go to some people's kitchen. I see some of all this what's this called, influencers, this kitchen influencers. I'll look at their kitchen. I'll be like, yeah, how can my kitchen be like this? How do I have this machine? How do I have this? How do I have that? Well, you can aim for it, but it shouldn't be as a result of greed. You have a state where you are now and you cannot afford it, my sister. So why not just try and see how you can just walk towards it? Yes, there's nothing wrong in loving good things. I like Diary of a Kitchen Lover's Kitchen. I admire it. In short, that's one of the reasons why I go to her page most of the time. I just want to see the new gadgets she has in her kitchen, how she has arranged her pantry, how she has done this. If you see, but that doesn't, I can't afford it. I can't. And Diary of a Kitchen Lover, people give her all these things because they want, it's not like she bought it sometimes. They are giving her so that she can market it for them. And you see it in her kitchen and you think, oh, this woman has a lot of money, so I can be like her. No. So it's step at a time. I've just learned that a step at a time with our financial goals will take us far. So that is my review. Thank you, everyone.
So much. Thank you so much. Tonight is mind blowing. Like, you guys are powerhouses. And what is amazing is how two of you successfully fooled me into thinking, hey, I don't know this. So you people, why? You guys successfully did a lecture on this book and it is so mind-blowing. It's an expose on the concept of money, our relationship with money. The fact that our relationship with money isn't just entirely ours. Most of them are, even before we were born, the way our parents interacted with money, the experience with money, how some of our parents talk about money within the context of anxiety, within the context of not having enough, scarcity, and how many of us grew up with that mentality, how the societal and the economic factors we grew up in also shaped our relationship with money. This is mind blowing. And before you just realize, I had a friend who was quite she loved anything she made, she wanted to use it, she wanted to eat it. And she came from a very humble background. Like, when you talk about a humble background, the kind of story she'll share and you will cry with her, and something that happened in the past. So you would expect someone like that would want to save every last kobo she has to send back home. No, it's so interesting that any money she makes, you see her eating chicken like this, like chicken that 10 people will eat, only you. Do you want to kill yourself? I was sharing that story with my husband, and he said, you just talked about her background. Someone came from such depravity. She probably had never eaten chicken for like 3 years straight growing up. Everything she had growing up, she had to share. So for once she has the means to buy chicken and you are saying she cannot, that you cannot make sense. You are just speaking to her logical mind, because her emotions had, it is coming from a very deep place. So what she's eating is what you are seeing. She's just wasting money because you cannot relate to her story the way she can relate to it. So it is just so, it is a mind-blowing book, and it's a book we should always read. We should always go back to, right? Okay, Falabi wants to speak. My elder sister, my big sister, she wants to speak. Go ahead and speak, sis.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Mitchell. I hope you can hear me, guys.
Yes,
Can
we
you both
can.
hear me? All right. Okay,
Yes.
so I appreciate, I joined in late when Mitchell was talking, but one of the things I kept hearing her say was saving, saving. But thankfully, before she rounded off, she was able to balance it in her concluding note, saying that apart from saving, ensure that you're investing. So my own understanding of saving is keeping money in the account untouched. And you know, when you're having a savings account, you practically may not have much interest touching it. Do you understand me? So except maybe if you don't touch it for a long time, and the interest that accrues on it is very, very minimal as against you investing that money. So what I discovered of recent, you know, many people don't really go for these treasury bills and all that. So I was able to, I have an acquaintance of mine who lectured me and said, even if you go into treasury bills, yes, you may not have so much that comes on it, but then over time, you actually appreciate it. So I tried it. My husband and I, we tried it for like 600,000 naira. And from the calculation for about 3 months, I just wanted to try it. And, you know, at the end of the 3 months, maybe you can, that's depending on what was it CBN calculates for you. You have like 30,000 or 40,000 naira. Yeah, within a space of that 3 months. I can't really recall, between 30,000-40,000 naira was what the interest that we accrued to. And I said, wow, yeah, if it's something I'm not going to use for some time, and rather than keep it in a savings account that won't yield any interest, I can lock it in my treasury bills. And at the end of the 3 months, if I want to roll it over, I keep doing it. Do you understand? I think that is, like he said, this acquaintance of mine said many people are not aware of it. So they feel that treasury bills is for the rich. Yes, the more money you have to throw in such accounts, the better for you.
I think our network
So
is
for me, that is
okay.
that is just putting in 600,000. Imagine someone who has a whole lot. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so it's not enough for you to save, but that money, once you have a lump sum, a good amount of money, why not invest that money? And once you don't need it, just keep rolling it over, let it appreciate. For at the end of the year, you know that, okay, I have this amount, I can, if you may not even use it, just leave it there and know that, close your eyes to it. That is investment. All right, so that's for Mitchell's angle. Thank you for balancing it by saying, okay, investment is good. And for Rosie's side, when you got to the 16th or 15th chapter, yeah, I like the tweak to it by coming up with the touch of partner. So your husband, sometimes there's a way God has wired marriage that both of you are not at par. If I'm up here, my husband will be here, down here in this area. Okay, if he's up there, I might be down in this area. So you were able to open up and say, okay, financial wise, you may not be as so literate financially as he is. And I can understand your angle when you have a banker for a husband. Yay. He's going to every funding you are spending, you have to spell it out. And he's going to
everything.
yeah, he's going to query you. You understand me? So I can feel you.
I used to do presentation. I used to do presentation every month. Presentation every month.
I know what you're saying. I have a friend who has also told me that everything in this house. In fact, you even have to do Excel sheets every month. Putting all the spending. That's how bad it is. But I can tell you have learned. Since you guys got married, I'm sure financially you must have gotten something from him. So what am I saying? That is good for couples to carry each other along when it has to do with financial literacy. So you sit at the table. She said they plan yearly. I love that. It's not until you have so much money before you start thinking, even as couples living in face me and face you, slap you, if they are financially literate, they can sit down and plan even when you don't even have any money to plan. Sit down, you start. It's not like I used to tell my children, if you don't learn to save, when you learn to tithe or save when you have little, you cannot tithe or save when you have much. Do you understand? So the partner sitting together, you can imagine if your husband is up there and you are the one dragging him behind financially, whatever it is that he has made up there, at the end of the day comes crashing down. So it's best for couples to be at par, carry each other along, know this person's weakness, and try to, let's see, okay, Rosie's husband is helping his wife come up, and at the end of the day, she also begin, even if she can't get to his level, but then at least it will appreciate over time, and both of you will be financially powerful. All right, thank you. I hope I've not taken too much of the time.
Thank you so much. That's okay. That's good. So that's the essence of this conversation, actually, because when we have our master classes, we do more of listening than when we ask questions. But when we do things like this book club meeting, for instance, and I even want us to introduce like a debaters club, right, where we have a subject and then we have people arguing for, we have people arguing against. I used to be a huge fan of debate when I was in primary and secondary school. I remember when I was in primary school, I used to want to go and join cultural dance. Let me go and be dancing. My mommy hated it. She said, yeah, you cannot go and join literary and debating society. You cannot go and join this jet club. She used to be very angry. She know they like cultural dance. And maybe somehow I just realized, okay, since I like to talk, I used to represent my school then. We go for debating, and I think this is actually giving room for that. And the essence of creating Support Circle Academy is actually to create that platform for every woman to shine, right? Many of us are gifted, but many of us don't have the platform. Nobody's inviting us. How about we create a platform where there's something I used to say that if nobody creates a table before you, carry your table and come to the room. In fact, create that room, pull down those walls, create that room for yourselves. And that is actually the essence, to create a room where women will have stimulating intellectual conversations, not just discussing Nollywood, discussing the price of rice and the price of gari. Oh, man, all those stuff. I've told my mommy, I don't want to hear any mekunu conversation. If I want mekunu suffer, we don't belong in the mekunu. I don't want to hear that conversation. Yeah, so that's the essence, actually, to create a conversation, a room where women can come and share stimulating conversations. Thank you all so much. And as we are leaving here right now, I would like us to go to the group to just drop a comment, something to just express how this night has been for you all, because we can't do this alone, right? We need more people in the room. We need more conversations. We need more You guys did a wonderful job preparing. Rose and Michelle, I can't thank you guys enough. I need to be coming to be learning from you guys on presentation skills, because you people will be deceiving somebody. Look at the gems you just came to deliver. I just said, me that was already preparing that in case Rose cannot meet up, or in case Michelle, because Rose was even at a party, I'll quickly use this one to be shocking him. But you guys, like, wow, we are blessed. We are blessed. We are blessed. Thank you all so much. So please drop here. Okay. And Fola, you want to say something?
No,
Your
no,
hand
no.
is up.
Sorry. No,
Okay.
no, not at all.
All
Sorry.
right. So please go to the group. Even if you've not spoken in the group before, just drop a comment like, this was a beautiful conversation, beautiful night, blah, blah, blah. That will encourage more people, because you guys did a beautiful job preparing. We want more people to be in the room to actually, we can't make the change if it's just a handful of people. But the more we have in the room, the greater the impact we can make in our lives, in our society, in our community, and in the world at large. Thank you all so much. Super grateful for each and every one of you tonight. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye.
Good night,
Thank you. Bye.
everyone. Good night.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye.